Okay, we're going to be going to your phone calls here, and I know we have callers that have been holding from a long time ago. I would hope you'd have a question for Tim Ball, but he can comment on the whole New World Order system in his research of climate change and the UN, like everybody else that's researched what's happening in our world. He's quite knowledgeable on multiple fronts. I want to go through with him not just the fraud, but the global government that's being established. I haven't even gotten into the other big developments with this world government treaty being rammed through. Obama saying, and Kevin Rudd of Australia saying, we don't care if our parliaments and Congress won't pass this. We're going to do it outside the legislative process. This is tyranny. And I am calling for the impeachment of Barack H. Obama for making this announcement and threatening Congress. I am officially, and I had not called for this because the guy's a puppet, but he has to be made an example of that you can't engage in crime. Schwarzenegger needs to be recalled. I don't care if he's going to be out of office soon. His legislature wouldn't pass all these new carbon taxes and taxes on television sets and on travel, so he just did it and ordered his agency to do it. You must bring these criminals to justice by at least politically kicking them out, running them out of town on a rail, or they will set the precedent for this. This is outrageous. So that's coming up in a moment. And we'll get Timothy F. Ball, climatologist, take on this. He's one of the people that's been persecuted by these people. And he's a top climatologist and can break all this down with us. In the last 30 minutes, we have a reporter joining us from Copenhagen with reports on that. But I can yell and scream. I can pull my hair out on air. There's no way for me to impart to you how ultra incredibly important this is. When the UN says the greatest meeting in modern government history, it's the truth. When YouTube runs ads for the climate tax saying the future of our world is being decided, it is. This is huge, what is happening right now. So that is coming up. Before I go any further, though, I want to thank the sponsors that made today's radio show possible. Then I have a key call to action coming up. Let me do the call to action right now. This video on screen. Alex Jones' secret Copenhagen documents leaked, part 1 and 2. This is as big or bigger than ClimateGate and the thousands of emails and documents where the top scientists for the UN are all colluding in fraud to hide the decline in temperatures and to persecute scientists and to work with the government to block FOIA requests of information. This Copenhagen addendum to the treaty by the U.S., England, and Denmark to have the IMF and World Bank take over the whole process, which they were always planning. The UN was created by these jokers. To have the IMF and World Bank be the world authority is so huge, is complete and total piracy. This video is on the Alex Jones channel at YouTube. This video is posted in all the latest stories on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com on Copenhagen. Again, Alex Jones, secret Copenhagen documents leaked, 1 of 2. This is bombshell. And I'm not going to pop champagne on air like I did 2.5 weeks ago when ClimateGate came out. This is as big or bigger because it shows the whole architecture of world government in this addendum to the treaty. The treaty admits world government, global taxes, 2% taxes on all GDP globally, a global transportation authority taxing all transportation, starting with aircraft, taxes on all fuel. It's many times worse than we even thought it would be from previous documents. Okay, this is bona fide private criminal corporate banking dictatorship, even getting rid of the front of the UN. The Guardian says this is the end of the UN. It is. This is a giant setup. They get the third world there, got them all paid off. They're going to vote. The U.S. signs on. We're not allowed to get out unless there's a unanimous vote to get out. We never got rid of NAFTA and GATT. This is 1,000 times bigger than NAFTA and GATT. We're going to go to Tim Ball in a moment for an hour. I just want everybody to understand. This is make it or break it time. And we need this particular video so other writers and researchers pick up on it, read what's in the Guardian, read the document, the draft 271109, adoption of the Copenhagen Agreement under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Conference of Parties. This is the real treaty. Confirmed. This is the real treaty. Okay, the overarching fine print that goes with the main treaty that is the worst thing we'd ever seen up until this. We have to get this seed video out to everyone so people can understand the full document, so they can go look up the areas. And we show the documents and articles to prove it. This video is so important. I'm begging everyone to get this out to your entire email list and everyone you know. All right, that said, let me thank the sponsors and on to our guest. eFoodsDirect.com. You never have to stand in a bread line if you have your own bread. We don't have to remind you that you need food to survive. Our greatest sponsor out there, eFoods Direct, is the longest continually operating storable foods company in the country. They also happen to be true patriots and have supported the freedom movement for years and years. With the looming global shutdowns of food and energy, you need to be self-sufficient. The globalists don't want you to be self-sufficient. They have super high quality, non-hybrid, non-GMO, a whole bunch of different great food lines, the best prices out there. 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633, or eFoodsDirect.com. Again, that's eFoodsDirect.com. And I'll thank more sponsors later here. Now going to Professor Dr. Tim Ball. Timothy F. Ball heads the Natural Resources Stewardship Project, is on the scientific advisory board of Friends of Science, an organization skeptical of human-caused global warming. He has a BA degree from the University of Winnipeg, a MA degree from the University of Manitoba, and in 1970 in geography, and a PhD degree in geography from the University of London, England. In 1983, writing a thesis analyzing historical weather records from Canada's North. Ball taught geography at the University of Winnipeg. Ball was featured in the Great Global Warming Swindle, a documentary film produced by Martin Durkin. This was the first aired in March 2007, and he's been persecuted for his views, of course, and targeted and called a climate denier, and we're honored to have him. Mr. Ball, good to have you here, Doctor.
Well, thank you, Alex, and thanks for the opportunity. And all that you set up to now was right on the money. And, of course, as we talked about earlier, this is the second phase. The first phase was strong using the IPCC and the UN, and the Climate Research Unit people whose files have been hacked were controlling the IPCC. They controlled the key chapters, so that controlled the science part of it. And then starting with the with the Rio conference in 1992, where Kyoto was first broached, that has led, and that was COP1, by the way, that has led now to COP15, where finally they're putting into place the whole political takeover that Strong and these people planned. It's the combination of using that false science to achieve this political goal.
Absolutely. And again, the magnitude of open world government being announced for everybody, and the open announcement that they are going to basically just get rid of the UN, that's what The Guardian says, and have open government run by private banks.
Well, and of course, when you look back at say what was being planned, and just prior to going to Copenhagen, Obama's on record as saying, no, this is our opportunity to get one world government. And the UN is the vehicle to do it. And so they'll use the UN, and then once they've got what they want, they'll push the UN aside. This is the standard pattern. I was interested in your comments about Schwarzenegger. Of course, what Californians need to know is they've already had a taste of false energy policies, because Enron, who were going to control the whole carbon market, were advising California, and are a major cause of their economic problems.
And by the way, Schwarzenegger, it came out, was involved with Enron in meetings and profiting. Then he ran against Gray Davis, blaming Davis. Davis, for all his faults, was blocking Enron. And Enron, for those that don't know, he later became Secretary of the Army, but Secretary White was the Enron executive. They had fake computer programs that they would bring the legislature in and show them, and congressmen in, and say, here's why you're paying triple for power. This is what we bought it for. It was a fake system. I mean, these guys are just complete frauds. And Schwarzenegger is saying San Francisco will be underwater, despite the fact that it's 938 feet at its highest point. Its median sea level is over 600 feet. The UN claims it'll only rise a foot to a foot and a half, and that's bogus numbers. Holdren says 13 feet, but Schwarzenegger says 900.
Well, and of course, Holdren, there are the science czar. There are emails in there in those hacked files. He was involved in this when he was at Harvard, and there's an interesting little story with that. But in 1998, the carbon credits idea, of course, got grabbed by Gore, and there was a meeting in the White House in 1998 with Bill Clinton, Gore, Lord Brown of British Petroleum, who has been very big in this in Europe, and Ken Lay of Enron. And there they set out this strategy of how they were going to use the carbon credits to set up this whole control of energy worldwide. So, there's several little fingers to this, but they've all been working around the IPCC as their science and then the UN as their vehicle.